Hi, friends. I'm delighted to have the team of the short film Mai for my chat show today. Actor Shahana Goswami and director Milind Dhaimade join me for this interview.
So when Mami selected it, I was really thrilled and it was great. And nothing bigger, greater joy than having a film on a big screen for an audience. So amazing.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. This gets to be seen on the
Ah,
big screen. Yeah,
right, right.
yeah, nice.
So I'll just give you a small background. So ultimately, this was actually a collection of short stories produced by Colosseum and MacGuffin, and the theme was lost and found. You know, and so obviously the idea is probably OTT, if I'm not mistaken. So this chance to come on a big screen, nothing like it. You actually get to come in a proper legitimate theater and get it there. Super.
True. How did the journey begin? Shahana, for you, how did you come on board?
Journey began with Milind in
Milind,
2015.
for you, how the idea came into
So you're
materialization?
asking me?
Yeah,
Both of you.
Me? Yeah. Okay. So I think I'll just start with how. So I think sometime back, Hani Trayan called me and he told me about this project they were doing, which is they're getting select directors to make a couple of short films and the common theme was lost and found. And it was a kind of a low time for me. I was sitting doing nothing much actually, and तो मैं बोला हाँ ये तो अच्छा है करते हैं. And so I wrote this short film called Mai, based on the theme. And well, I think when the casting ka baat hua, I was sitting with Hani and there was no issue. There was Kunal who cropped up obviously, and the next thing was Shahana. And we said, "Yay, Shahana!" So I just called her, and now Shahana will take it from there.
yeah. So Milind,
just
yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
when you say obviously, do you mean you had the actors on your mind while writing, or
Oh no, not at all, not at all. So when I write, I don't think of actors at all. I just think of my characters, and but the character was such that I think it was Hani. Actually, Hani ultimately used to be a casting director. He started from casting, right? So वो तो बाप है casting में. So first thing Hani said was Shahana, and I said, हाँ चलो. Who am I to say no? So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it's like anything Milind will do, I'll be a part of. I mean, I don't think there's anything that he's written and he's directing, I will be a part of it because of so many reasons. One, that we have an association from before. We did Tu Hai Mera Sunday, the first feature film that wrote and directed, and that was such a wonderful experience. I mean, the way I met him also, I was at that time living in Paris, and I just got the script and I read the script and I was laughing while reading the script and, feeling moved and everything. And I said, yeah, I definitely want to be a part of it. Then when I met him, I was like, oh, ye to mera twin hai. And then
Not
the
in looks.
we are fraternal twins.
Yes.
Identically. So, but yeah, he's just somebody who I think has the same kind of energy, passion, sense of fun, but depth when it comes to cinema, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to his observations of life and things. So that's something that I really relate to and connect with. And I feel like it's a voice that I find missing a lot in cinema right now. I don't see too many people who have that simplicity, but the succinctness of being able to capture life as it's happening around us, with lightness, but with a sense of authenticity that brings that heartwarming feeling. And that's in Mai also, that's what I loved about it, that it's such a simple story, and I think we get so caught up with telling profound stories, but the profundity is always in just telling something truthfully and honestly, and with a sense of really excavating the emotional truth and nature of a small experience. And this short film to me is really captures that. Even within the theme of lost and found, it's such a perfect kind of story in the lost and found theme. And Milind has this thing of always, up until now, these 2 innings, basically he always casts me in characters that is half him, half me. So basically, like, it basically has elements of him, which is why it has elements of me in it. So then I'm right for the part.
Right. कितना अच्छा बोला, मैं ऐसा बोल नहीं पाता था. Good, good. It's difficult to praise yourself.
During this entire journey of the film, what was the toughest thing and the one great thing that you learned during the project?
Toughest thing. See, it was ultimately what happens is when in a project like this, which are ultimately their passion projects. Even for the producers, they were passion projects. Even for us as filmmakers, so your resources are limited, and in that to kind of not compromise and or make something without compromising. I think for us the toughest part was the house where the whole film, most of the film takes place. And we were always wondering because there's something specific I had in mind that the characters, the way they were living, and the kind of house, it was pretty specific, the kind of house which was required. And we were always wondering how we'll manage that with limited resources. We can't obviously build a set, and shooting for a couple of days on locations. Then it's difficult to kind of get a place where which is just ideal, and then we can shoot there continuously. In Bombay, it's pretty tough. And then luckily what happened was one fabulous thing happened is one of the location managers, I think he showed us this small house in Matunga in Badala, and where this uncle and auntie used to live alone. They didn't have kids. And when we went for recce, me and my DOP Harindra Singh, and we were all together, and we saw that house, and it was like, this is so perfect. So that house was part of the casting only, I feel. It's a third actor in the whole process, and it just was amazing. Like, जिसमें काम करने की जरूरत नहीं है, कुछ करना नहीं है, इसको ऐसे ही रहने दो. And I mean, they were very sweet. That uncle, auntie had cancer, and she had to go for treatments. In fact, sometime just last week I shot in the same house again, and we went there for a long time, and unfortunately auntie had passed away. But just some time back. But that house was for me, us, the toughest part was how would you get that house, and it fell in our laps. I always feel I'm an atheist, but I believe there is a film god who loves me. Sometimes I feel you just get what you want, and that's the most amazing thing that can happen. Learnings are constant. I mean, every time you do something, you learn. So there is no question of what you learn, don't learn. Mostly, I think I have learned a lot how to deal with myself. As a director, this constant urge and this worry of losing control is something I've learned to relinquish now, and I learn to trust the people I work with, and I get less hassle now about things, and learn to take things in my stride. So I think largely for me, it's all about dealing with myself, which is something. And I mean, I'll tell you something which is slightly this thing off the subject, but it's not off the subject. But when Hani called me for Mai, I was going through I was going through clinical depression. I was mentally in a bad shape, and when he called me, I think my inner instinct was to say no, but मैंने बोल दिया ठीक है कर लेता हूँ मैं, and I just said yes, and I think that whole journey of mine was therapeutic for me. Actually brought me out of the whole depth of feelings which I was in. It just pulled me out of that. It was like amazing catharsis. I can't tell you the before after of writing, shooting, and then doing and putting it together. Was phenomenal experience. It just pulled me out, and after that, a lot of amazing things happened. So for me, my will be very special. For my crew, it will be very special because we are all, I think, the love and joy with which we made that. It will always be
love and faith.
Yes, it always. Well, okay.
That's the name of the company.
That's my company. It's called Love and Faith, and I think motto.
Shahana?
I think for me, I always say that filmmaking as an actor, the reason why I think I can say as an actor why I prefer filmmaking to acting on stage is because the level at which it's a collaborative form It's like a team sport. So is maybe acting on stage, but it doesn't feel like it. But filmmaking at every juncture and point of you creating it is a team sport. And that's what I love about it. And my attraction to the craft is for the spirit of engaging with the people in that team, creatively, technically, and growing and learning from that. And I think that that's, like he said, he has a really great team. He's a great team leader. He brings together those kind of people. And, we were lucky to have producers like Colosseum, like McGuffin, who also provided whatever was required for this.
True.
And it was, for me, the attraction is to be able to see filmmaking will always be a project of doing things in constraint, whether it's financial constraint, whether it's time constraint, whether it is some unforeseen event or thing that occurs last minute, something doesn't happen, something gets cancelled. That is the thrill. That is part of the magic. That is part of the job. So it's always great fun to see how you manage to make it come together. And for me, it's about the journey of that collaboration. And it's very important to work with people who stimulate that creativity in you and your mind in that way, and also help you grow from that. And I think that's been always my main point of interest in engaging in a project. Am I going to grow from this? And that's why I say that I will always work with Milind, because I know he has that curiosity of mind and spirit, and he's always looking for the same thing. So if he's jumping onto something, I know he's going through a learning arc, and I will also have that learning arc. And that's what this film was as well, to be able to, it's funny, I say this often about both Tu Hai Mera Sunday and Mai now even more so after having watched it again recently, that the character of Mona is a lot like me, but I've very rarely played that part on camera. On camera, I somehow always feel very subtle and very, my instinct becomes very withheld. So it's very hard for me to be myself on camera, weirdly.
Yeah.
So that was a struggle for me to constantly keep that energy. Also because, you're not in film, you're doing a take many times from many angles, and you're trying to keep that same energy. Whereas in real life, of course, you're just in the flow. So that part, I think, is something that, I realized, it's tough to keep that level of energy constantly. Take after take from different angles, to then also experiment with that and do something new and do something different, And of course, I have immense faith and trust in Milind, and he'll always push me when I'm getting lazy, or if I'm kind of not, keeping up with that energy level or whatever. And Kunal is such a great actor to work with. It was so much fun to work with him, and I'd known him before, but we never worked together. So it was lovely to work with him, and and the way the story is, it's such a concentrated bond between two people in a sense. So at least the bits that I was a part of. So it was very nice to be able to play that arc out and play that graph out. And so I don't think it was the learning, like he said, is always in lots of things, seeing how a team works together, working through the difficulties and the problems that crop up. But most importantly, it's like the spirit of constantly wanting to have fun, while doing whatever you're doing. The element of wanting to have fun while doing it is very important.
Yeah, that's very important for us. It's not the end result, it's the journey. And I think for us, our whole crew, all of us, and my personal philosophy is that after the experience of making a film, people should come out happy and stronger, if nothing else, and richer, but not, it should not damage you in any way, and unfortunately, a lot of people go through that process, but that is not something which I can ever be a part of. And for us, it's important that everybody has a good time, and everybody, while we work hard, we also, make sure that we grow with this whole process.
Milind, why did you choose to not show the mother as a person? Because I think we just see her face once in a photo. What was the idea behind that?
So for me, the mother was more of the presence. we shouldn't give any spoilers out, I suppose. But for me, especially the journey was about this man and uh, the symbolism of the mom through the food which is left behind, her cooking, and that was very important. The mother then becomes a presence more than actually the character of the mom, which is wasn't that important as much as just what she was, what her cooking meant to him in his life, you know. So that was critical, and I think again it's a short format, so you have to be very clear on what the story is and how much of which character you want to expose. I think the Mai was far more symbolic than anything else, and largely also I think we live with the people who pass away from our lives. We still live with them through many other ways, and largely I think the large relationship we all have is food, with especially moms and Indian men, So I thought that was a very strong connect. My theory is that a film is made before it's shot. Shooting is just execution. So these are the ways you make the film beforehand. So you're prepping yourself as a director. My DOP is prepping. My actors are prepping. So rehearsals are very critical, and I think that's what we did. We just did a couple of days of rehearsal, and that's it. And whatever discussions, whatever problems, whatever everybody thought, we openly discussed them and kind of put them together.
How many days of prep and how many days of shoot did it take?
Prep was long, I suppose. At least 15 days, 20 days of prep must have gone in this. And shoot, I think altogether, 4 days?
Shahana, do you think actors cannot avoid getting typecast in certain roles?
Yes and no. That the yes is that people lack imagination sometimes, but you can avoid it by saying no. And that's something I've done a period of time. And I know it's not easy, and not everybody has the luxury or the circumstances to be able to do that. But it's not that you can't. I think I've had to say no to a lot of things in order to, because I'm bored. I don't want to keep playing the same part. And it takes time for that transition. But the more you say no, the more you make space for whatever new things that could come up. And I think it's also something that you have to believe in to some extent, that you're capable of doing something different. But it's true that at a certain level, people's imagination is very limited. They see you in one kind of thing, and then the next time there's a similar part, they'll think of you for that, and that could be anything. And it's not like, let's say, like I always used to tell Milind that he's the first person who's allowed me to show me laughing and being myself, which is I've never played with that part in my life. Nobody's ever given me that part. And not that I mind that, but it's funny that nobody has ever tapped into that side of me. I almost wondered why he offered me that part, because most people would think of me as a very serious person, which I'm not.
Yeah.
I am, but like that's not the only part to me. But even after that, what happens is, like, let's say you are typecast into being like serious and whatever. Then let's say you play something which is different, the opposite, or glamorous and whatever, sensual. Then you'll only be getting glamorous and sensual. It's not even like, then they think that, oh, okay,
range.
Now try something else. Even that kind of openness people don't have. And I'm not sure. I think it happens at every level. That lack of creativity is there in the producers, it is there in the casting directors, it is there in the directors, it is also there in the actors. So it's something that's now beginning to shift and change, but I think it can definitely be so much more interesting. I mean, I always feel like it's so much more fun to cast completely opposite type. Like even him casting Kunal is not a Marathi boy, but how well has he done the Marathi bits and accents, and he works so hard on it, and he body language, everything. He's really imbibed that character totally. So that's what I mean. Like sometimes you have to be able to cast against type, and that's the fun of it, to be able to bring something new out of someone, And none of us, very rarely do we play ourselves. We're playing mostly some other aspects of ourselves. So the fun of it is in, being able to do something different.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a tough one, because it's also our job. It's also what brings your bread and butter. So I understand that people often need to take up whatever comes their way. And there's also that thing like maybe you start with a smaller film that you get noticed for in a certain way. Then the big budget films come where you're better money, better recognition, better visibility to the audience. So maybe that makes sense for people to do that, to then have that. But then that means you'll get 7 others of that type, because then people want to see you in that realm. So it's a hard choice to make. I know. I personally, I'm lucky to have a life where I've never had to think of that aspect. I'm lucky to have a family that would be able to support me and would tell me to choose based on my creative desire rather than based on money and all of that. So, and I've used that fully to my advantage to say no, left, right, and center. So,
You worked in many different kinds of films, including big budget ones. Looking back, what do you see as your milestones, the films that really changed your career graph?
I mean, obviously the first film, which is Naseeruddin Shah's film, and it was, I think, a blessing to be able to work with an actor and director like him with the huge, massive, amazing cast he had. My first co-actors were Ratna Pathak Shah and Paresh Rawal. I mean, that is amazing. And then again, same second film, I had Shabana Azmi and Baman Irani as my co-actors, and then a whole bunch of other people. So that was it's so that those were the beginning journeys. And then Rock On, of course, was a big break and a big it created a big splash for me and made me known to the world, to the industry. So did Firak. I think Firak was another film that kind of came at the on the heels of Rock On, but brought a different aspect and side to my acting and my being. And then I think I would say after that it was for me Midnight's Children, because it took me into another realm, which was the independent international films and English language films, and that allowed me to explore things outside of just the Hindi film industry. Other big milestone was, I think, Midnight's Children, because of course I got to work with Deepa, which was a dream, and then also the fact that it opened me up to it was one of the bigger parts I played as well in a film and in an international independent film, then going to film festivals with it. So that started a different chapter in my life of actually working in films and having a different experience of being an actor on a film, which going to film festivals, meeting other filmmakers, in the independent film circuit. So that was really great. I'm not just saying this because he's here, but Tu Hai Mera Sunday was a very, very special big movie. To be able to play a part that was so much more, an aspect of me, let's put it that way. Every part has some truth of myself in it, but a very big aspect of my personality and my part had never been explored, and I got to do that with this film. And to do it and again, it was the best of both worlds, where it was shown in India and then went on to the OTT and did really well, but we also showed it at different festivals where it was really appreciated. And I think, then after that, Suitable Boy was another big one, because again, I got to play a character that was so outside of my comfort realm and something that nobody would give me a chance to play. And I loved the experience of it. And Bombay Begums, I think it was another big OTT and a big character that I got to play in a way that was very special. And I would say last is probably Zwigato, which is yet to come out on the OTT, but it was a film that I've got a lot of love and appreciation for. And I think with each film, I've also grown a lot in the last 2-3 years as a human being. So I think everything I do now reflects a lot more of me in a different way. So,
do you think Rock On did for you what a film of that scale and stature should do?
It did, but the thing is that everything is timing, and everything is, I really believe in destiny and journeys playing out the way they need to, and our understanding or lack of it is our own journey with it as well. But Rock On was a big film and it did really well, and right after that there was the recession that hit. So people's filmmaking choices again became conservative. And that film was slightly ahead of its time, but the films around at that time were still not catching up to that level of writing and evolution of character and all that. They were still in a much more cookie cutter format. And in those spaces, you will go for the safe choices of people who bring the box office numbers and all that, which I don't blame anybody for. It's a business at the end of the day, and I understand that. And I think I needed to grow. I think I got into the business very suddenly, and I got fame very quickly, and I didn't know what to make of any of it. And I needed to have my own journey of growing and learning. So I worked with a lot of really talented people and people I admired and loved in the industry in terms of their craft. But had I started doing work that was kind of bringing too much spotlight to me, maybe I wouldn't have grown in the same way. So today I'm ready for it, and I know that it will come in a certain way. So because I have had that journey and I've learned, and I'm more sure of myself. I was a very unsure person, and I had a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-worth issues. So I don't think I could have been able to handle any of that. And having said that, it created a journey. Like I said, it allowed me to do, if I had got sucked into doing big projects and got a lot of fame and recognition here, I wouldn't have had the journey of doing independent films. I wouldn't have had time or the ability to do a film like Tu Hai Mera Sunday, and those are much more precious.
What is story, auntie?
So
मेरी तरफ से नहीं auntie.
oh, I think
Sorry.
so yeah, so I don't think I would have had those journeys. And I today, like I said, I'm capable of balancing all aspects of it. I can do a high budget action film if it comes my way, just putting it out there. And I can also do a small independent film, or like I said, I just shot like an independent film where we worked really hard and 2 months straight with no breaks, and I can do that as well. So I can do both parts of it now. So I'm very, I still have always looked at my graph and my career to be a success story. To me, I'm like, wow, how did I manage to do all this stuff? And it's nice to know that other people keep feeling that I deserve more. So their aspirations for me are more, and that's great. And I wish for their aspirations and mine to combine for my journey.
Beautiful view. What are the upcoming projects that you have that you want to talk about, both of you?
Milu.
Oh, me. Oh, yes. We made this wonderful film called Thank You, Mr. Khanna. With Lionsgate. It has Neetu Kapoor, it has Sunny Kaushal, Shraddha Srinath, and it has Asrani ji. And it's an amazing film. It's a beautiful film. We're just waiting for it to come out. Hopefully, pretty soon. It should happen pretty soon. So that's something I really want to talk about. It's again it's my space. I think it's about relationship, people, and it's still fun and contemporary, and yet it's about a mother-son relationship, which is something which is not really happened in, I think, Indian cinema for a long time. So it's a wonderful take on a mother-son relationship without being soppy and anything. But yeah, Shana.
I have like I said, Zwigato will hopefully come onto the OTT. We had a release in the theaters, but now it will come out onto the OTT sometime soon, hopefully. And there's a film with Kanu Bell that I did with Manoj Bajpayee called Dispatch, which should also come out sometime in the near future. And also another anthology of shorts I'd actually done, which where my short film was with Rima Das, and that also I'm hoping should be out sometime in the near future. And this new project Santosh that I just completed, where I don't know how much I can talk about it, but yeah, it's a international independent film. The director is Sandhya Suri. She's the first-time feature filmmaker. And yeah, we just finished the film, so I think it'll take another year before it's out and circulating. But it was a great experience and a great project. So.
Lovely lineup. That is all the questions that I have. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your time, both of you. It was lovely
Yeah.
talking.
Thank you so much. Yeah, yeah.
Take care
Same.
and all the best.
Bye.